Hi everyone. So here we are going to cover about Azure Container Instance. So when we're talking about Azure Container Instance, we have previously covered about what are containers. So if I give a quick refresh about that, we are going to use containerization solution, which can create a lightweight virtual environment where we can run whatever we wanted to run. Now, so when that has to be done, it has to be converted as an image. So the Docker is a containerization solution which is in the market, which will help in creating an image, Docker image. And through that, when you go and run it, it becomes a container and whatever it is, could be an app, it could be a web app, or it could be an application, or it could be some backend service or a database, whatever it could be. But end of the day, you're running a virtual environment which has only that specific workload to execute well. That is the only thing which is there inside that container. So right now, to host or run containers in Azure, we have different solutions. We have container instance, which is we call it as Azure Container Instance, or we can also call it as ACI. Similarly, we have Azure Container Apps, we have Azure Kubernetes Service, and we also have an Azure App Service. In Azure App Service, we can run containers when you select a container everything. There's a container option in Azure App Service to execute. Now, similarly, you can run containers or these Docker images as container service. And similarly, you can run it in container apps, Azure Container Apps, and similarly, you can run it on Azure Container Instances. So why would someone organization prefer? The previous video clearly covers why an organization prefers to run services on containers. Simple reason, microservices. They are and they are bit very lightweight and they scale up very fast. Managing of those containers with a proper container orchestrator makes very easy. So large scale applications when they're provided to lot of customers, that is an instance where we prefer container solutions. Now, like Pokemon Go, that was being utilized in a for that app utilized a Kubernetes solution to run not Azure Kubernetes, but Kubernetes solution, container orchestrator to run their entire application. And it scaled up very fast based on the consumption of users who are consuming it. Now, container instance, Azure Container Instance is a solution where you can run, say, a container. And what happens is, what is the difference between an Azure Kubernetes service and an Azure Container Instance? Kubernetes is an orchestrator, whereas Azure is providing a solution to just run that container instance for you. Okay, and what is happening behind the scenes, how they are managing that container, how they're scaling up that container, it doesn't matter for you. You as a consumer no need to even care about it. So it's more of a serverless instance where you're just uploading your code, you're uploading your Docker image into it, and that is running. You're going to consume wherever you wanted it. Now, container instances in real time in your organization, they use it with creating with Kubernetes service, or they might create it along with some. Whenever there is some trigger happens, they that point of time they can go ahead and run that instance. Personally, I have seen in this type of instances, they have created container instance. Uh, when a set of tasks have to be completed, they keep it that entirely in a code and they ensure that that code is being made as a template, Docker image, sorry, I meant is Docker image. And whenever we wanted to uh, run the set of jobs, we will uh, trigger that one, and that container instance will be created for that moment of time, and it will go and do that series of jobs. what job, what type of job, any type of thing. Going and getting files from Azure file share and copying those and going and making some inside calculations and coming out of that and then pushing that back into some solution. Then why can't we use data factory for it? Just give an example. Okay, so there are different services to uh, do what I just said. You guys right now a case, but my point is container instances which are utilized in Azure, they are used on demand. Whenever it is immediately needed, they immediately scale it up and run that specific code from that container, and that container will automatically, the container instance which you are hosting or creating is for some purpose, and that will do probably for 4 hours or 10 hours like that, and it will close. Sometimes organizations will for their having a uh, uh, they might be using for consuming the application also. uh, there are also some situations where whenever there's a disaster recovery solution which happened, suppose a downtime has incurred, right? Now, to replicate your previous the next the if you have had a replication in a different region, now to ensure that it takes some 1 hour to ensure everything is in certain place. Now, this period of time, there should be someone to be taking care of requests and sending it instead of making customers aware that there is some downtime or something issues happening. Instead of it, so that is when organizations can scale up container instances, they can set it up and they immediately ensure that major primary functionalities are being uh, what do you say, are being taken care, and the rest of the things like any some data which might have to be taken as some need some major application to be there, then they will wait. They will take a hold of it and they'll tell to the customer that wait for it 2 hours, we'll resolve that like that. So this way they are saving some time and they're not losing any business. So there are such certain situations where they keep container instances as a backup methodology and they provision in seconds to make sure that the service can up and run. So that's the power of Azure container instances. So you're running instead of a huge application, you can run some APIs in it. I have seen that they can run APIs. So I've seen they use Azure functions also, but contain instances when they are going with Docker images and all that, that is when they prefer to run it on this serverless situations. Okay, so these are serverless services. It is serverless. You don't need a server to run it and everything. What type of server and all that, you really don't need to care about it. Only thing is you have something and you're going to upload it. That's what we're doing even in Azure PaaS, right? It's more enhanced one. So yeah, serverless is also kind of PaaS, but you no need to have you that a server to run it. You're just uploading your code and how much ever it is being consumed for that period, that is only what you will be charged. In app service, what is it like? You're going and creating one, so even though no one consumes it, you have to pay for it. Whereas in serverless, whatever, so it is running, so it is going and running some process and it needs a huge compute capacity, it will take it and do it. Now, how much ever compute capacity you utilize it for that, you go and pay. That's how serverless works. Okay. Instead, they suppose you run a process in a virtual machine that is a 2 core machine and you got charged some specific dollars. Now you ran a process which needs 4 core capacity, but you run it in 2 core. So even it took some longer time, but it went and did it. Now in serverless, it is not that way. If it needs 4 core, then it will allocate that 4 core and complete that instance, and that much compute capacity it has occupied. So based on that, it will charge that much amount. Okay. The only difference is here, if you are not utilizing it also, you are going to pay for it. Dedicatedly, it is given. Here, you are only paying for what you are using. The charge will be very less. But obviously, if you don't plan your serverless consumption, then the billing will be very beyond. It will be more costlier than virtual machines or whatever you can think. Because suppose you wrote a model which can go and read some 1 lakh pages. Okay. Now you write it for a two-core machine, you run it in two-core machine. It might take 10 days, so the charge will be still the same. Now this will like charge you like a load of money because it will get it done within 1 hour or 10 hours like that. But the compute capacity utilized, right? It was so huge, and you will end up very huge amount of bucks to do that kind of stuff. So very careful in terms of container instances, what organizations have to do. So when they're planning to shift to a serverless architecture model to run their services, it is very good. It will be very good for them. But if they don't plan it properly, then they have to bear the cost factors. So that's about it. Now, how do we create a container instance? Let's go into it. So I went to a documentation. I can open how do you deploy a container instance. So from when you create a container instance, you're going to that one, you will be able to should be seen this page. That's what they're trying to tell. A quick start template, just a quick start solution. So you go and create a container instance. So you're going and doing the same thing. You can search for container instance from here, or you can search from the way it is guiding it. Next, it went into containers category. Under containers category, there are different solutions. And here one it is container instance. I'll go ahead and create container instance. How do I create a container instance? So I go to compute RG. It's a container RG. I'll create a container. Up one container. And East US, I'm keeping it in East US. I can keep it availability zone. I'm not choosing it right now. You want a quick start image, you can choose it. Or you wanted to start something. So I wanted to start a simple Nginx web server. Okay, these are images. Now Docker images, you can you no need to worry how to you need to know right now how to create a Docker image. So DevOps engineers are the ones who work and assist the developers in terms of creating a Docker image and all that. Now here you can just know that there will be an image and you can pick it up. Now if I wanted to pick an image, I can pick an image from Azure Container Registry or from other registry. So we have registries which are nothing but a locations where you can store your images, Docker images. Now Azure is offering a solution called ACR, Azure Container Registry, where you keep your images, Docker images. Now you can also keep your images, Docker images in Docker Hub registry. So are the ways where we can store Docker images? No, we have one more solution, Artifactory. Factory is a third-party tool completely, not the Azure DevOps tool. That's Artifact. This is Artifactory. Artifactory, there we can store images. So there are different locations where you can store Docker images. It's based on the organization and everything. You can mention which registry and all that, or you can mention Azure Container Registry. Or at this point of time, I just wanted to create a hello world, so I'll go ahead and create that. Now I wanted an ACI hello world latest one, so that is nothing but this one. So I can choose this. If I can take to this one. I'll show you each of it. Now, how much would be the size of this container space at this point of time you wanted to choose? You wanted a to have more of this 1 to 8 core, and you can go for 2 core and 4 GB. And if you want GPU, you can choose it. Leaving it. I'm going to actually keep it as minimal as possible. That is 1.5. Give even one now. Let me do it. Okay, and networking, I will keep this as public. I want it to be available for why public? Because internet, I wanted to access it from internet. I'll keep it this one. I'll not keep any DNS name at this point of time. I'll go ahead and allow 80 port HTTP request. Advance, I can give. So it is saying that you want to restart this container whenever there is a failure and all that. Yes, I wanted to restart. Always or what on failure only. Keep it there. Do you want the encryption to be Microsoft? Means Microsoft will manage the encryption of the data inside the container and all that. And where otherwise you wanted yourself to encrypt it. In that kind of case, you can use CMK. Here I'll choose MK, which is nothing but Microsoft managed keys, or we also call it as platform managed keys. Go ahead and create. I'll go ahead and create this container instance. So I created a hello world, right? So I'll create one more instance, show you how it works. So it got created. I'll create one more container RG and I'll mention here app02 and I'll choose. I can even choose a quick start template, right? So I'll choose Nginx this time. And it is said that it needs minimum of, but only 0 CPUs remain in your subscription. So I'll not keep it. I'll go ahead. Okay, mine is a pay as you go. So why it is asking me? Should we? Okay, there is a space in that. Pretty easier one. Only thing which we need to know is the next topic, which is container groups. That is bit important. But yeah, we'll cover that in the next topic. I'll go ahead and create a resource group, container RG. And here if I see, I have app01 container. So I have this container which is running there. I can actually copy this URL. Okay, here I could actually see that. Mm, I didn't create a DNS name, that's why FQDN didn't get created. Now I can go ahead and create one. How do I create one? Hmm. Okay. So seems like I have to definitely create a container one. Okay, so I'll create an FQDN. That's something which container 03 and I'll choose this, and I have to give, and I'll say I have container one. Go ahead and create. I'll choose this. networking there I mentioned for let it get deployed. So this app got deployed itself like this, and you can see here is the this one. So this is nothing but domain name is nothing but a fully qualified FQDN, fully qualified domain name. That's nothing but an URL which you wanted so that you can send this one. So in this app 03, what did I run? I ran a hello world container instance, and you'll be able to see that once they are up and running. So seems some issues there. There we go. It's running right now. And it is an HTTP request. That's why it is not secured if you see. And this one also Nginx. One is running an Nginx one, which is nothing but an Nginx. So you can create your own image which can run on which has a web page and that can run on Nginx, or similarly you can run a web page and that image, your end of the day, nothing but you when you're creating a container instance, you're uploading that Docker image here. So if here I selected quick start image, instead of it, I'll select Azure container registry. I can select what container registry I can go ahead, and from that I can select an image, the Docker image, and I can go and ensure that that is running there. So that's it. Uh, there's nothing more than this about container instances. Now, how do you uh, increase the core of it and all that? Okay, so here if you see at this point of time, it is just one, but where is it? So you can actually go and scale up this one by sending the automation. So if I wanted to scale it up, I can scale it up. So we can scale up the number of instances in container instance. So whenever there is as per this, we can whenever we wanted to increase more number of compute capacity, we'll end up increasing more number of deploying more number of container instances. That is what I could see, and so we'll end up creating more number of container instances in such cases. So it's in container apps. Actually, we can scale up more. We can scale more instances, but here we have to create some automation behind the scenes that can go and create more number of container instances and all that. But in container apps, we can actually write like it's like this is like virtual machine and this is like virtual machine scale set. So so I got confused there that we can scale up more number of and all that. So here we have to write to ensure that we can scale more number of instances and all that. And for that, you need to end up creating some metrics from Azure monitoring solution. That I think that will be coming in the further topics as we go. How do we use Azure Monitor to ensure that certain actions can come in place, but an action should be triggered, which can create more number of container instances, which can listen for users and all that. So that is what here they are trying to talk about. And I believe that's it. The config sizing and scaling. I covered everything about it. So you guys can go and try creating it. In the next video, I'll actually try to show you how do we run different container instances in a container group. The whole point of a container group is that there will be front-end service and a back-end service, and there will be some database. This container group will the front end it will get the request, and that will contact the backend service, and that will contact the database and get the data back, and this will get the data back, and they'll send the service. So this way we can design stuff using container groups, where each one here is a container instance. So this is what even it is happening in AKS. And specifically, we are doing that with the Azure container instance using the concept called container groups. So we'll do it in the next topic. Show you how do we create set of container instances and run it. Yeah, thank you guys.